What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. We're going to continue with Grudge Match, Volume 26. Now, this grudge match took place in 1985, but it escalated in 1986. It was a heavyweight match that took place between Larry, the Eastern Assassin Holmes, and Michael the Jinx Spinks. Now, anytime you have a grudge match, when you're trying to teach another fighter a lesson, you play the good guy, bad guy act. And that's what was happening here. Michael Spinks was from the 1976 Olympic team. He had won the gold medal. He was the unified light heavyweight champion. He was a phenomenal fighter. Larry Holmes came up old school. He trained with Muhammad Ali, Smoking Joe Frazier, Tim Witherspoon, Michael Dokes, Bone Crusher Smith, many others, before he even turned professional. And it's unfortunate for Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes has been in some of the greatest fights in heavyweight history. Some of the greatest fights. With Ernie Shavers and Ken Norton. I mean, just to name a few. Jerry Cooney. And he was never appreciated as heavyweight champion, and that's unfortunate. So he was chasing Rocky Marciano's record of 49-0. He was at 48. And it was for the IBF strap. Now, he didn't get that strap until 1984 when he fought Jerry Corsia. And it turns out that that fight was postponed. So he wound up fighting Bone Crusher Smith. And he got the strap. And was forced to face Michael Jinx Spinks. And the establishment put Michael Spinks in as an opponent to block Rocky Marciano's record from being blemished. In my opinion, I believe they didn't want it to look like a conspiracy against a white fighter, so they put in another black fighter, Michael Spinks. And it was a perfect assignment because Michael Spinks was undefeated. He came up from light heavyweight and he was unified, cleaned out the division. He was the perfect opponent. And Larry Holmes wasn't in his prime anymore. He didn't have the legs to move around with a young light heavyweight. So on April 19th, 1986, after Larry Holmes lost to Michael Spinks the first time in 85, Larry Holmes made a comment that he heard that Las Vegas judges drink before fights. And at that point, Las Vegas was fed up with Larry Holmes. Now, they made a lot of money off of Larry Holmes, but when they saw he was leaving his prime and he spoke his mind, they felt as though they had to do this man an injustice, and they did. Now, salute to Michael Spinks, dynamite fighter, outstanding light heavyweight champion. No question about it. This has nothing to do with Michael Spinks. But it's the injustice of Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes gave us all thrills throughout his career. He gave us everything he had. He never ducked anyone. And it's very unfortunate to what happened to Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes was called the Eastern Assassin. He was born November 3rd, 1949. He stood 6'3.5" and weighed 196. to 255 pounds. He was trained by Rich Giacchetti, Eddie Futt, and Ray Arcel. Michael Spinks, the Jinx, was born July 13th, 1956. He weighed anywhere from 166 to 212 3/4 pounds. He stood 6 foot 1 inch. He was trained by Eddie Futt. Promoted by Butch Lewis, Larry Holmes was promoted by Don King. Larry Holmes turned professional in 1973. He had 7 fights. 74, he had 3 fights. 75, he had 9 fights. 76, he had 3 fights. 77, he had 4 fights. I mean, look at the pattern. 78, he had 3 fights. Within those 3 fights, he fought Ken Norton. 15-round, unbelievable match. Before that, he was involved with Ernie Savers, which he was down and he got up and he took care of Ernie Savers. 1980, he disposed of Muhammad Ali. He would fight Leon Spinks. Evangelistia, he did everything. Bone Crusher Smith. Cleaned up the division. Michael Spinks would fight fighters such as Marvin Johnson, Yaki Lopez, Marvin Johnson again, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Dwight Muhammad Cowie, Eddie Davis, David Sears, Jim McDonald, Larry Holmes, Jerry Cooney, Mike Tyson. These are the names I can think of off the top of my head. But when Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks fought, the first fight, the referee was Carlos Padilla. The announcer was Chuck Hall. Timekeeper, Mike Barantino. The judges were Harold Letterman. He works for HBO. Dave Moretti. Lawrence Wallace. The inspector was Kenny Bettis. He was in the corner of Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes at that particular time had a record of 48-34. No losses. He was 35 years of age. Spinks was 29. Holmes stood 6'3". Spinks stood 6 foot 2.5. Holmes weighed 221.5 pounds. Spinks weighed 200 pounds. Holmes had an 81-inch reach. Spinks had a 76-inch reach. Second fight. Referee was Mills Lane. The announcer was Chuck Hall. Judges were Larry Throne. I mean, it's amazing what they did to Larry Holmes. In their second fight, Larry Holmes threw Spinks down in the first round. He was very agile. He was very frustrated on what was happening to him. His legs were very tight. In the 9th round, he threw a wicked body shot, and it hurt Michael Spinks. 13th round, vicious body work, to the point where when Michael Spinks went back to the corner, he was choking on his own saliva and water because of the body work attack. I just wanted to dedicate this particular video to Larry Holmes because Larry Holmes gave us a lot of thrills. And he fought like a champion. Now, he made some comments that Rocky Marciano couldn't carry his jackstrap. That didn't help him. And it seems like they just had it out for Larry Holmes. And Larry Holmes would perform as champion in the ring. I remember the days when Larry Holmes wore the mink coats, the white mink coats with the hat to match, 3/4 length. I remember the day when he jumped on a car with the cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. He did a flying kick off the car. The Cherry Burbick. I remember Larry Holmes in the 11th, 13th, and 15th round with Ken Norton. He had nothing left, as did Ken Norton. And he opened up with everything he had in the last round. And each judge had 1 point separated from both fighters. You see, that's what I most remember about Larry Holmes. And then the fights with Shavers. And the fights with Tex Cobb that made Howard Cosell resign from boxing. The fights with Evangelistia, David Bay. Larry Holmes was a phenomenal fighter. He was put in with a young Michael Spinks. The only issue I have with Spinks was when he jumped out of that HBO tournament and allowed his IBF strap that he took from Larry Holmes, who was about to break Rocky Marciano's record. And he basically threw it in the trash can because he had a fight with Jerry Cooney and Stefan Tangstead. And these men were not ranked. He jumped out of the tournament because when he signed for the tournament, Michael Tyson was not in the tournament yet. And then he stepped to the side when he saw Mike Tyson was taking the titles. Now that might be business. But it was a tarnishment to Larry Holmes' legacy. I've been involved with boxing for over 40 years. And I've seen champions come and go. But Larry Holmes has been treated unjust for what he has given the boxing world. So I make this video in salute to Larry Holmes, the East Assassin. He went on to face Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. Bone Crusher Smith in the Old Man contest. He was in there with Tim Witherspoons. Marvis Frazier's. Don't underestimate Larry Holmes' legacy. Fascinating fighter. Michael Spinks was a dynamic light heavyweight champion. Perhaps the best in modern time. It was an outstanding fight. Both 85 and 86. But Larry Holmes will be in my memories as long as I watch boxing. Because he's a true champion. Salute to Larry Holmes. He's definitely in my Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Salute to Michael Spinks. He's in my Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Like I said, this has nothing to do with Michael Spinks. It's just unfortunate. You have two fighters that were in there when the establishment was against them. Salute to my subscribers. Salute to Larry Holmes. Salute to Michael Spinks. This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Thanks for watching Grudge Match. It's been fun. I'm moving on to another project. Peace.